Good morning, everybody. Okay, I can see there are quite a lot of us already, 62 participants. So I guess by definition, you're muted right now, but some housekeeping items, like, if you have any questions, I posted in the chat before we started. You can type your questions or raise your hand. To raise your hand, if you go to the three, well, I think there is a way to raise your hands. So in any case, or you can type in the chat. You can type, or somebody's typing that they cannot hear me. Okay, the other thing is you can start your video, so we'll be able to see you. You can see me. I hope you will be able to hear me. Okay, I can see in the chat that you're hearing me. So maybe there was some temporal problems. Okay, if you watch our videos posted on the engineering website, I'm not going to test you. You should know who I am. I'm Bogusław Kruczek. I'm a professor and currently the chair of the department. We have a few other professors in attendance. We have Professor Gilles Thibault. Professor Thibault, maybe you can start your video so people will see you. Professor Thibault is associate chair of undergraduate studies, so he's a most knowledgeable person if you have any questions related to our program. We also have in attendance Professor Jean-Philippe Saint-Pierre. Hello, JP. Professor Saint-Pierre, he's our co-op coordinator. So I saw that there were a lot of questions, general questions about co-op. So Professor Saint-Pierre is the best person to answer these questions. And I believe I also saw Professor Cao. He used to be associate chair of graduate studies. He's also involved in biomedical program. So if you have any questions, okay, I can see somebody raise their hands. David Brunner to everyone, raise the hands. Okay, so this is just a message. Okay, so anybody has questions? I know this is quite different from regular. Normally, we would be in the auditorium. We would be seeing each other. Now I can see only your names, not even full names. I do not see your pictures. I do not see who you are, but I know you're great students because you're in this program. Okay, so what we see here. We have a question from Claire to everyone. If I would like to switch into the Integrated Biotechnology Program from just chemical engineering, how would I do that? Gilles, would you have answer for that question?
I guess this will have to be a new application in some ways. Okay, so you have to contact either the Faculty of Science, okay, which deals with the biotechnology program, or the Faculty of Engineering, which will give you the information on how to get to the to apply for the biotechnology program as well. Because the biotechnology program you will gain at the end two 4-year program, one in biochemistry and one in chemical engineering, all well integrated together, such that at the end of 5 or 6 years, depending if you're co-op or not, then you're going to have 2 distinct degrees that will allow you much greater flexibility to find a job, okay, in the biotechnology industry as well as in chemical engineering.
Okay, Melanie, does it answer your question? So essentially, the bottom line, you have to, it has to be a new application. So I can see quite a lot of questions are popping out. So we have questions from Liane Fang. she's unable to register for most of her required courses for the winter term. It says, I do not meet the requirements for the course, and she's not sure why it says like that. So this is a little bit strange. Well, most of the winter courses, like, we have only one chemical engineering course. In the winter, we have also one chemical engineering course in the fall. So if you go to the higher years, in order to register for the course, you may need to have some prerequisites. So in other words, you have to successfully pass, some previous courses. And normally, when there is a course which you're trying to register, in your calendar, it would be specified what are the prerequisites for a given course. So normally you need to have these prerequisites in order to register for that course. However, sometimes, if you're missing some prerequisite, Professor Thibault would be the person, and undergraduate office would be the institution where you would apply for the prerequisite waivers. But it is strange to me that, for the winter term, you get this message. So do you have any idea, Gilles, what could that mean?
No, I don't know. But if someone comes in first year, okay, and it has all the requirement to be admitted to the program, then there is no prerequisite that needs to be done. So therefore, you can take all your first year courses. But of course, and then afterwards, when you pass these courses, some of them most of them you'll need to pass them to be able to be to be allowed to enter the second semester. For example, the second chemical engineering courses that you're going to have in the winter you'll have to complete the first chemical engineering on the first semester to be allowed to take it. And so this is where it will be coming, or where you will not be allowed to take a course if you do not have the prerequisite. But if you come in first year and first semesters, if you had all the requirement from high school, then there is no reason why you should have. One thing that you could do would be to write to me directly with the email, okay, with the more accurate information, and I will look into it, and I will certainly give you the most accurate answer that I can. You will find my email and also the email of Professor Saint-Pierre, and then our chair, Professor Kruchek, in the document that has been sent or will be sent to you, in fact, as a separate document at your email address. And so you have all this information there, or you can find our addresses as well on the web. Si vous avez des questions en français aussi, n'hésitez pas. Professeur Saint-Pierre et moi-même, en fait, pourront répondre à vos questions en français.
And Professor Kruczek can answer questions in Polish if you have one.
Yes, yes.
Okay, we have a question from V, and he says that I was going in the opposite direction, in the opposite switch next year. So I suppose this is related also to the Integrated Biotechnology Program. I don't know if I'm correctly interpreting this question. I was going.
And there was also a question about the co-op program. Few questions.
Yes. So maybe we'll go to
about the co-op and biotechnology as well. And then I'll just answer this one. So if you take the biotechnology program without taking the co-op, it will be 5 years, meaning that, except that in the last year, in fact, when you do your third year, you're going to have, in fact, 5 semesters in a row, okay, of courses at the end, but you can finish in 5 years in your program. If you take co-op, and of course you're going to have, because now at one point you're going to go for work, come back for study, work, study, and therefore it's going to take, normally 1 year or 1 year and a half more, except that you're going to gain experience in your co-op. And then Professor Saint-Pierre, in fact, could give you more information on this. He's their co-op coordinator. Jean-Philippe, do you have anything to add?
Well, so the main difference between co-op in chemical engineering and biotechnology is the fact that for chemical engineering, the co-op program starts at the end of your second year, whereas in biotech, you only start your first work term in the summer of your third year. So that's one of the differences as well between the two programs, which means that for those of you who have already received an admission to the co-op program, what you'll have to do is maintain a minimum cumulative GPA of 8.0 for the duration of 2 years, your 2 first years for the biotech program. If you don't have this automatic entry into the co-op program, or if you lose your automatic entry because of CGPA reasons, essentially you can then reapply to be admitted into the co-op program. And so that will happen for PhD students, so chemical engineering students, in September of your second year, so at the start of next year. And for biotech students, that's going to be in September of your third year that you would apply for entry into the co-op program.
Jean-Philippe, there is a question as well on co-op, okay, saying that they thought that the co-op will only be in the summer when they will be working, which is not the case. Could you elaborate, please?
So essentially, the co-op program will provide you four months work experience. So the first work term will be in the summer after your second year if you're in chemical engineering, or in the summer after your third year for biotech. And after that, what happens is that you alternate between your course semester and a work term. So that means after the second year, you have a summer work term, and then you'll work in the winter of the subsequent year. You'll then work again in the fall of your I guess, fourth year. And then your last work term will be in the summer before your last course semester. So that's the summer after your fourth year. So essentially the program adds 8 months if you are performing your co-op option, but you are obviously gaining very valuable professional experience. You are making money through these co-op terms. There are opportunities to obviously build your network and potentially to travel, because some of the positions are elsewhere in Canada, and in the future, when we're past this COVID situation, there are also international opportunities at time that are offered. Does that answer the question?
Yes, and there is a question as well. Is there any way to get co-op on the first fall term of the first year, or will it be available during the second year? You just answered that question as well. But it doesn't mean that people cannot work during the summer, but it's not going to count after the first year, but it's not going to count as a co-op. And of course, where people are, most students will find a job during the summer. But then the co-op will only start after second year, as Professor Saint-Pierre mentioned.
Yes, and also there is a question maybe you can address, JP. Well, if somebody is accepted to a co-op program, are we required actually to go through the co-op program? So there is a simple answer, but I let Professor Saint-Pierre to explain that.
So if I understand the question, the student is asking, they were accepted for co-op, but they don't want to be part of it.
Does he or she needs to go through the co-op program? No.
No. So essentially, there's nothing forcing you from going through the co-op program. You can choose to opt out, and there's plenty of time to do that. And obviously, you can certainly search for jobs on your own and gain experience during the summers on your own.
And there is a question about, in general, minimum French level that company wants. Okay, aside from, you know, is there a requirement for French in a co-op?
So that might be, so there's no requirement for French in the co-op program. There might be some jobs posted where they might require a certain level of French. And so at that point, obviously, if you are not able to meet these requirements, you wouldn't necessarily apply for those positions.
And how does it?
Question about minimum cumulative GPA, so 8.0. So I believe this was explained in the general Q&A session for with undergraduate office.
I mean, I can quickly just elaborate on that. So to have the to maintain your automatic entry into the co-op program, you need to maintain an average of 8.0 for your first year courses. Now, in order to apply to enter the program at the end of your first year, so before September 30th this year for those students who started last year, you need to have a CGPA of 6.0 or above. So the minimum CGPA for being considered for the co-op program is 6.0. And obviously, as you are progressing through your program, in order to remain in co-op, you'll also need to maintain that CGPA.
OK, il y avait une question en français finalement. Bon, je vais la lire. En fait, ça a trait au coop aussi. Bonjour, lorsque vous dites que le coût, le coop accessible à la seconde année, vous prenez en compte la première année est préparatoire pour certains et vous voulez dire que c'est à partir de la seconde année d'ingénierie. Donc, Philippe, je peux répondre si tu veux aussi, là.
Ben, tu peux répondre.
Oui, allez-y. Donc, je comprends la question finalement. C'est que donc le système, le programme coop commence à la fin de la deuxième année. C'est-à-dire que l'été suivant la deuxième année d'études, c'est là que votre premier stage coop va se passer. Et ensuite, après ça, vous revenez à l'automne pour suivre des cours de troisième année. Et à l'hiver, vous repartez dans un système pour le coop. Et à l'été de la troisième année, donc vous retournez à l'université pour terminer votre troisième année, puis avant de retourner après ça pour un stage coop. D'autres questions? Oui,
there was a question on evaluation methods that will be used by our professors during the virtual semester.
Yes, so I guess so we still have similar marking schemes, but one thing, well, this is not going to be first semester where we are going to have exams online. We have remote exams in the winter semester, and all the exams and courses in the summer semesters were online. So we already have some experience with this. So there is no one general rule so professors, they have liberty how they are going to do it. But generally, we are trying to have, if possible, of course, to lower the contribution of the final exam. And I think there was a related question about using the respondus. So there was a big discussion about respondus, and again, the position of the Faculty of Engineering is such that, if professor wants to use respondus, he or she is free to do that. However, we do not need to use respondus. So professors in engineering, including professors in chemical engineering, they are not obliged to use respondus for administering final exams. Well, you still have, you will still have some assignments. Of course, assignments will be worth something, or you will have some projects. And, you know, it may be like, you know, individual projects or group projects, which you will be submitting online, and there will be assessment of that. Perhaps, you know, in the first year, you do not have a lot of like, you know, oral presentations, but in upper year courses, we have projects with some oral presentations and some reports. So this is still in place. So in other words, like, you know, we really have to adjust ourselves to the current situation. And also, like, you know, the final exams tend to be kind of, you know, more creative in a sense that, like, you know, we may have more short answer questions, some developmental questions which require, like, you know, a professor to go through every step of the question. So there are different possibilities in order to make, like, you know, these exams as fair as possible. And at the same time, like, you know, to meet objectives which we have, like, you know, in each course, what you need to gain. But certainly, like, you know, the fact that you cannot sort of, you know, write the exams in the old way, like, you know, in person, face to face, like, you know, in the large classrooms or smaller classrooms, depending on the class size, poses some challenge for the evaluation. We hope this is going to be something which is the fall semester. Hopefully this is the last one, but you never know. We have to be prepared for every option. But I also, like, you know, I would like to go back to co-op. I haven't seen this question, and hopefully, like, you know, by the time you will be starting your co-op, you will be able to go anywhere and you will be able to work anywhere. But I saw that there was a general question, and I think this is a very interesting question. How does the co-op term looks like, you know, in the time of COVID-19 pandemic? Like, you know, you can, many jobs are sort of, you know, limited. Many jobs which were available previously, obviously you could not have these jobs. Yet, I have to say that, you know, and Professor Saint-Pierre can give you some numbers, because, you know, last summer, we had actually, like, you know, students for their first co-op term and for their, and the fourth year students, you know, going, you know, for the co-op term. So we have, like, you know, double cohort, and still we have quite a lot of placement. So maybe, JP, you can say something about the types of the co-op jobs, like, you know, during the time of pandemic. So in other words, it's not a lost case. So hopefully there will be no pandemic when you will be entering your first co-op term. But if there is something, engineers are creative and there will be some jobs. So JP, please mention something about the type of jobs.
Yes, so obviously this is a situation that does affect the number of jobs that are available out there. And what happened is that the co-op office was extremely flexible. That's the first thing, accepting shorter than usual work placement, so that people could be credited with a co-op placement for a shorter term. That's for the winter when things started shutting down, as well as for the summer when some employers were willing to hire students, but a little bit later than, say, beginning of May. We ended up being able to place 29 students, which is a little bit lower than usual for the summer. It's important to emphasize that students have to complete 3 of their 4 co-op placements to get the co-op mention. So there's all sorts of accommodation for those who weren't able to find a position that were made by the co-op office. There's also flexibility with the employers. The co-op staff worked really hard to get the government positions back into the pool, where students were then asked to work remotely. There were a lot of industries that continued throughout and hired some of our students. And then there's also in-house opportunities that were generated. And amongst other opportunities. The biotech students and the chemical engineering students were very lucky because there was this biotech initiative that was created to produce 50 co-op jobs for our students this summer. And so it was co-op jobs that were focused on group work experience, where you were given a challenge and you had to take it on and essentially generate solutions for that challenge. And that was related to the bioeconomy. So obviously very interesting for the biotech and chemical engineering students. So we were able to generate some jobs in-house as well to kind of compensate for the loss of outside jobs. And by the way, I should mention that we are seeing for the fall an increase in the number of jobs that were offered to our students. I don't have the final numbers, so I don't know if we managed to place 100% of our students. Typically for the fall and for the winter term, we have around 100% placement for our chemical engineering students. I don't know the final numbers yet, but from what I understood, it was promising, and there were a lot of employers that were now coming back.
Il y avait des questions en français qui ont été demandées, en fait, au sujet des prérequis. Il y en a finalement qui arrivent dans le programme en première année, puis ont déjà fait des cours préalables, en fait, dans d'autres universités, au lycée, au cégep. Donc, ces cours-là, finalement, peuvent être crédités. Donc, il suffit finalement de prendre contact avec le bureau du premier cycle et de dire finalement, ce cours-là, je l'ai déjà fait. Et probablement, normalement, ça devrait être inclus, en fait, dans la demande, mais ce n'est pas toujours le cas. Donc, si vous pensez que vous avez fait un cours, finalement, dans une autre université qui devrait être crédité, qui est équivalent à un cours que vous allez prendre, donc vous pouvez le faire créditer de sorte que vous ne serez pas obligé de le prendre. Mais il faut faire une analyse, en fait, de votre dossier pour être capable d'arriver à cette fin-là. Donc, soit prendre contact avec le bureau du premier cycle ou de me contacter aussi si le besoin est, et on va répondre à vos questions au sujet de ça, parce qu'il y avait quelques questions dans le chat qui étaient de cet attrait-là.
Yeah, actually, on the co-op thread, I think, it should be also mentioned that so the co-op terms are normally 4 months, but some of our students, they can take longer co-op terms, so they can take 2 or 3 combined together. And of course, if there is such an opportunity, and there is still a way to adjust your courses in order to graduate on time. So
yes.
Yeah.
That is impossible for the first and the last term, though, for the first and last placement. So there are a number of our students who will do 8 and 12-month placements during their second and third term of placements, work placements.
Okay, so maybe switching gears, we have a question from Justin and Brogan. So this is about number of electives. So essentially, in biotechnology, he has only 2 complementary electives available. However, he wants to learn French. And obviously, the students are interested in taking more of non-technical electives. So the question is it possible? So Gilles, can you address this?
Yes, it is possible. In fact, normally you have the program itself that you have to comply. And then, of course, you have either in chemical engineering 4 technical elective, and you have 2 complementary elective. In other program, depending which option you're going to take, then you may have less than these 4. But it is possible to take more, okay, if you want. But I'm telling you that you don't want to take too much, okay? Because a program, when you have, let's say 5 courses or 6 courses per semester, you would like to do well. And if doing well, then you have to take the time to do it. But it is possible to take more technical elective or more complementary elective, okay? But it may not count in your program, but it will count for your personal knowledge that you would have. So there is a possibility of doing that.
Gilles, there is a question in French about math course 1721.
Yes, that I saw one, and that's why this is like an equivalent, because some people, il y a certaines personnes qui arrivent en fait à l'intérieur, dans le programme et qui va manquer finalement un cours qu'ils devraient avoir comme prérequis pour être admis au programme. À ce moment-là, vont admettre l'étudiant au programme, mais finalement devra prendre un cours supplémentaire pour être capable de se qualifier pour ça. Donc, ça serait un cours équivalent qu'il aurait dû prendre au niveau du secondaire, mais finalement, elle ne l'a pas pris. Donc, il peut être admis à l'université, compléter ce cours-là et continuer son programme normalement. And I'll say it in English as well. It is possible that when you come from high school, there may be one course that will be missing as a prerequisite to be entering the program. So the university will admit you in the program on the condition that you're going to take on that additional course that you should have taken before. And some may feel that they have seen the material before, but normally this is not the case. And then the student will have to take that course as well as the other courses that will be in the first year. And then after that, carry on in the normal way, okay, when this course has been satisfied.
There is something, which is opposite, just question about from Marva. So I believe, she believes that, she has taken some courses which are in the first year, especially math courses in her high school. I know that this could be a case if we have students, from Lycée Claudel. They have quite advanced math, and I believe they might get some credit for
yes, that. It is possible. Those coming from Cégep or those coming from more advanced school where they would have taken advanced mathematics, it is possible that some courses may be credited. So the way to do it is to send a message to the Faculty of Engineering and say that and apply for this. It's not a waiver, but it will be an equivalent course that you'll be granted the credit for that course, so you won't have to do it, but it will count, okay, within your program as well. And so this is something that you need to do. You can write to me directly, or you can write to the Faculty of Engineering to be able to have access to this, to be able to be granted that course.
Yeah, there is also a question in French about type of industries in which our co-op students work. So I let Professor Saint-Pierre to address this question.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I was just typing some answers. What
are the major industries, co-op students are taking their placements?
Yeah, so I have a presentation here, and obviously the government is a big employer. So for chemical engineering, Natural Resources Canada, Canadian Intellectual Property Office, Environment and Climate Change Canada are big employers. The oil industry in Alberta, so Imperial Oil, there's a number of companies. I should mention also, when we talk about the government, there's research jobs. For example, the National Research Council of Canada. There are opportunities in Ottawa and outside of Ottawa with the NRC. Now, obviously for research, there are professors at the University of Ottawa who offer positions. And then there are a number of industries that and companies that come regularly to offer positions for our students. For example, Ingredion is a company just outside of Ottawa who are producing different additives for the food industry. There's Rioneer, Aponix, BASF, so also materials company, Bruce Power, Evonik oil additives, and they're producing different mixtures of oils for the automobile industry, transport industry, and other applications. We've had people in consulting, so Hatch, for example, and obviously a number of other different opportunities. So I can certainly share my presentation that I had prepared for this type of event. And so there's the information on how to enroll, there's my contact information, and there's also some of the previous employers. In the past, we've had also some opportunities in China, at the university in China, in Tianjin, for our students, and we hope to be able to offer that in a year or two when COVID is behind us.
Okay, there was also a question about, like, going back to the same employer if there is such option.
Yeah, so I answered that in the chat. Essentially, if your employer wants you to return, this is absolutely an opportunity that you can take advantage of. But you also have the option of doing 4 different placements in different types of work place. And so what that gives you is an opportunity to try different things, to help figure out what you like, what you don't like, and kind of plan your career a little bit better, as well as create a broader network of contacts. I think both approaches are valid, have advantages, and so it's up to you to decide what works with you and for you. But of course, if you have questions as you are going through the program, I'll be very happy to just email me, and I'll be happy to provide as much advice as I can.
There was a question about the recording. Okay, there is a button at the top. It's a red button that is called recording. So therefore, this what we're seeing today is being recorded. And I'm not sure if Valérie is here. Okay, now to see that.
Yeah, Valérie.
If
yes,
this will
be
be posted. Yes. So therefore, I believe, okay, when it will be posted, okay, the message will be sent to all students.
Exactly.
So therefore, you can look at it again.
I hope we are not shooting ourselves in the foot, and we are not going to see, like, the disappearance of you from now on. It's still worth to stay, and we have like some minutes left. I think we missed the question. This was the question about, like, University of Ottawa is using 10-point scale, and some schools are using 4-point. And the question is whether, like, there's a direct conversion from one to the other. I believe, like, what is important, and Gilles, please correct me if I am wrong, like, 10 is A+, 9 is A, 8 is A-, and it goes like that. So when you're in the 4-point scale, you also have 4, it's A+, and then I believe it was 3.7 was A. So in other words, like, it's not direct conversion. So you're essentially, like, converting based on your grades. So I think that would be correct answer for that.
Yes.
Okay.
There was a question about co-op. Okay, if you do an 8 to 12 months placement, does that count as multiple co-op terms, or would still have to do all 4?
So each 4-month block counts as a co-op term, and at the end of each block, you would also produce a report. So there's the final report when your say 8-month term is completed, and at the 4-month point, you would produce an interim report, because each co-op placement needs to be accompanied with a report, which is evaluated by us. And then for just in case some are wondering, the way these are evaluated, these placements, is based on the employer evaluation and the report that you produce, and it's a pass or fail. Now, with failing, we would give you an opportunity to revamp your report to meet the requirements. So that essentially, if you want to put the effort, you will pass your co-op terms.
Oui, il y avait une question en français au sujet de, je voulais savoir la différence entre maths 17-20 et maths 17-21. C'est deux cours qui ne peuvent pas être pris parce que sont équivalents, mais normalement, quand il y a un numéro qui est un peu différent, ça pourrait être associé à un programme particulier ou à un autre programme. Donc, il faut savoir en fait lequel des cours qu'il faut prendre. Mais là, la différence exacte entre 17-20, maths 17-20 et maths 17-21, je ne la sais pas exactement. Il faudrait que j'aille le voir dans le programme de mathématiques. On n'est plus au courant des cours de génie chimique, en fait, mais il faudrait aller voir, en fait, tous les cours de mathématiques pour voir quelle est la différence. Donc, si vous m'écrivez, finalement, directement, je pourrais, en fait, regarder avec vous la différence entre ces cours-là. C'était Sérig qui avait posé la question.
I also see there's a question, if so many students get a GPA of 8.0 or higher, does the guaranteed co-op spot still occur, or will the cutoff be higher and change based on how many students get high grades? So essentially, the 8.0 cutoff is only for those who were approved for the co-op program. So there's already a number of you who have received admission into the co-op program. In order to maintain that admission, you need an 8.0. If you do not maintain the admission, it doesn't mean that you will not be able to take part in the co-op program, but you will then have to reapply on UO's own towards the end of your first year or at the beginning of your second year. And then what the co-op office does is they look at how many of those pre-approved, pre-registered students were able to maintain the 8.0. That tells them how many positions are left, and they go through the list of those who have applied for the co-op after their first year, and take as many as the program can take based on the GPA. So that's the minimum average to get into co-op will depend from year to year, but the lowest average that you need in order to be eligible is 6.0.
Yeah, I can see, like, no, we missed one question. I'm sorry, Brian, this was the question posted at 10:11. So in case of Brian, like, you know, he had to switch from English to French courses in order to keep his bursary requirement. But on the bright space, he's still, like, you know, in the English section. So I believe, like, you know, this is just a matter of there must be some sort of delay. But I think, Gilles, like,
because the bright space, because the bright space, normally they update the list of students every day or whatever, you know, the frequency. So therefore, if you register in a course and if a course is in French, then on bright space, you're going to be associated with that course that will be there. And then you'll be deregistered for the course, for example, in English, if you switch to the course in French. And that if you made it recently, then it's possible that it's not updated yet in Brightspace, but it will be. Because Brightspace, each course in Brightspace is associated to each of the course that you are registered. If you're not registered to a course, you're not going to be in that Brightspace, the course in Brightspace. So therefore, don't worry, that will be taken care of, okay, automatically. It may just be a glitch, okay, of few hours, okay, or a day before this update will be done.
And also, I'm not quite sure if we address this question, but it was, like, you know, mentioned, the answer to this question at the meeting with undergraduate office. So this is the question about, like, you know, how to get into co-op program if somebody didn't apply for it at the time of application. So so essentially there is a way. I think up to September of second year, you can still apply. Maybe, JP, maybe you can clarify this.
Yes, so I'm just trying to find so essentially you can go on UOZone and you can apply for the co-op program on your UOZone site, and you will have to maintain, as I've mentioned before, a CGPA of 6.0 or above in your first year. You will have to be registered in the program full-time next September, next fall. Have completed all of your first year course requirements for the chemical engineering program. Be registered already in all the mandatory second year fall and winter courses. And there's one more requirement, which is that you need a minimum of D+ in ENG 1112 or the French equivalent if you're in the French stream. And so yeah, you go on UOZone and you'll be able to apply. You can do this at the end of the year, or you can do this closer to this time next year. Typically, the deadline is at the end of September, but I strongly encourage you to look on the co-op website of the University of Ottawa, because they will provide the deadline, the updated deadline for each year.
Yeah, and there was a question about the biotechnology program, because those taking biotechnology and chemical engineering, of course, you'll have now what we're doing now is more chemical engineering and not necessarily specific to courses in biotechnology or biochemistry. And so what you should have received as well an invitation to participate in the welcoming of the biochemistry or science. And so I'm not sure, and some they write in the chat that it's not at the same time. So you must have seen an invitation, and this invitation is either on the web or you receive a message as well. So, but we do not have the information on this, unfortunately, but apparently some students say that it was at a different time. So therefore we're not missing anything. You're not missing anything.
I see that Ethan has asked, do co-op placements typically go to students with higher GPA? So the way you find co-op placements is, well, there's multiple ways. There will be job offers that will be posted on a website that you'll have access to once you are accepted in the program for the, I guess it would be winter of your second year for the first summer placement. There's also other websites that are provided at that time for national competition. So big companies like Imperial Oil, they have competitions that are not just for the University of Ottawa, but all students from all universities across Canada. And you can also find your own position. Now, to come back to the question, obviously the GPA is one element that employers will look at when they decide who to interview. They will also look at other elements of your CV, because you will submit a CV just as you would do for another summer job, for example. And so that's where, if you're able to gain valuable experience in your first summer, that can be very interesting, because you're showing that you were proactive, that you went out and found a position before you entered co-op. Maybe you try to volunteer in labs. Maybe you participate in trainings with makerspace and other opportunities that are offered at the university to bulk up your CV to have experience. And all of this will play into the employer's decision to interview you or not just the GPA. And of course, once you're at the interview, there are trainings, mock interviews that are offered by the co-op office to prepare you well. Same thing with the CV. Preparation of the CV is something that they will help you with, and that I can also help with. and of course, once you're at the interview, your personality, how well you engage with the interviewer will play a role.
Okay, there is a question by Ahmad who asks, are students in chemical engineering and computing technology also dual faculty like like biotechnology? No. If you're in the computing tech, okay, it's the same thing. If you're in the faculty of engineering, and everything will be handled in the faculty of engineering. So you don't have to go anywhere. The information session that you have received now, it's the one to do it. And of course, I would like to mention that to those who did not see the video yet, you had a video from a welcome from the chair. You had a video from myself, okay, in French and in English about the program, okay, how it works. And so I'm inviting you, if you did not see the video that was sent to you or the link that was sent to you, to do it, okay, after this session as well.
Okay, there is also a question about are all courses on Brightspace, or do some professors use other programs? Well, like, you know, before COVID, perhaps, like, you know, some professors could go away without Brightspace, but I believe, like, you know, in our department, everyone was using Brightspace, larger or smaller extent. But I think, you know, in this situation, I cannot see how course could be offered without Brightspace. So I would imagine that, like, you know, everybody should be using Brightspace.
But it will be a combination. It will be a combination of Brightspace, MS Teams, Zoom, and whatever. But normally, Brightspace will effectively be used normally for exams as well.
Okay, and I'm going to post the link. Just, you know, I'm looking for that to that video Professor Thibault mentioned. So this is already on the website, but okay. So it'll be right here. Take time, but I'm going to post it in the chat. To everyone. So this is the link where you can see the videos from all the programs, including chemical engineering. I do not want to brag about, you know, our videos, but, like, you know, I watched all of them, and I'm very proud, you know, of our work. So as Professor Thibault mentioned, we also have our graduate students giving brief introduction of all the professors and the people in the department, because, you know, the department is not only, like, you know, the professors, but we have a support staff, we have administrative support staff, we have technical support staff. So in the first year, perhaps, like, you know, you don't see much of that support, but as you go through the program, like, you know, you will start appreciate the work of other people in the department. And also, like, you know, in these videos, there is a certain part which is the same for all the programs. So all the general information which are relevant to you, regardless whether you're coming from chemical engineering, mechanical engineering, or computer science. Okay, so I strongly, I guess, like, you know, you are told to watch these videos, but I know how it is. But if you haven't, you can watch it, and, you know, if you watch that, you can still you can watch it again. And do you see any new questions, Gilles or JP?
I see one, which is, if I already applied for the program with the co-op option, do I still need to apply for my co-op before September 30th? So nobody with starting this year needs to apply for co-op before September 30th this year. For those of you who already are admitted to the co-op program, if you maintain an 8.0, you will maintain your admission to the co-op program. What's important is for you to go online to your UO zone and verify that indeed you're registered or you're admitted to the co-op program. Just as a validation. If it's not the case, you can contact the co-op office or contact me and I will put you in touch with the co-op office. Now, if you are pre-admitted and do not maintain an 8.0, next year at this time is when you will apply for the co-op program again. So after your first year. And if you're not pre-admitted and you would like to participate in the co-op program, same thing. Next year at this time is when you will apply for the co-op program, again on UO zone.
Okay, great. So, and if, okay, wait, if my average drops during the fall, but at the end of my average is 8, will I still be admitted to my co-op? Maybe JP, this is a question.
So my understanding is that they look at your CGPA at the end of the first year. So the CGPA at the end of the 2 semesters. So you have to maintain an 8.0 for those courses of the first year.
But of course, you know, the good idea is like, you know, even though it counts, you know, for the full year, is possible, like, you know, every semester you are in, do not count that, you know, the following semester you will catch up and you will increase your GPA. Of course, it is possible, but focus what is at hand. And in the document Professor Thibault mentioned, which I do not know whether you have it, but eventually you will have it. He has listed 22 tips for the first year university students. So this is something what he took from Dr. Glenn Geher. So these are like, you know, the very, very wise advices. So we still have like, you know, 3 minutes. I do not see any new questions. So Gilles, can you share your words of wisdom?
I don't have the document. I would have to open it at this time.
Okay, don't worry.
But I think, but you can read some of the most important one if you want, Bogdan.
Yeah, so something which is, of course, like, you know, we are in the new times. We are in the times of COVID-19. So the way you're taking the lectures is different. So one of the things was like, you know, to attend, you know, every class. And one thing which is sort of, you know, new, because, you know, some classes most of the classes will be in the synchronous mode. Some classes will be in asynchronous mode. And I think there were a lot of questions in the general Q&A session for the Faculty of Engineering. Okay, so it is possible to follow your class from the bed in your pajama or from your bathtub. You can do that, like, you know, that's this technology allows that. But and at whatever time, like, you know, you want to take it, because, you know, even if you're missing the class, most of the classes, I believe, will be recorded. At least, you know, the classes which I'm going to offer, if they are not pre-recorded and given, like, you know, at the time for the lecture, if I'm giving live classes via Zoom or Microsoft Teams, you know, these classes will be recorded and posted, so students will be able to take it. However, like, you know, if you have a time for a given class, okay, do not postpone watching that class later. Like, you know, do it at the time. So in other words, like, you know, yes, you are more masters of your own time and you have much more, like, you know, flexibility right now, but still, like, you know, this is my advice, like, try to have your schedule and really, like, you know, stick to that schedule. And, you know, even though you don't have to be physically present, but, like, you know, make the point that, you know, if the class is being offered at 10 and, you know, some material will be released at 10, but it will be available later on, follow that, like, you know, at the time when it is. So this is one of these 22 advices, which was translated into the current situation. more you are going to see like in the email that you will receive.
And
Okay.
Valérie just posted
Yes.
with the address, okay, where a student could go, okay, because they'll meet mentors, okay, for their program, and so therefore you're encouraged to do that. And as well, I will have to leave as well because I have another meeting at 11 as well. Okay,
so thank you very much all for joining, and I'm happy to see that we had 73, we are 61, so this is a great number. And I wish you all the best, and hopefully we'll be able to see each other in person soon. But we'll be seeing each other anyway. So all the best.
Welcome everyone.
Okay, welcome everyone. Bienvenue à tout le monde et à bientôt. Au revoir.
Bye bye.
And don't hesitate to reach out if you need any help or advice.